Good evening, everyone. Going to gavel in the session of the May 17th meeting of the school committee for tonight, May 17th, 2022. And just for folks watching and folks in the room, note committee member Sarah Ladani is out of town this evening, and committee member Richard Pearson was also called away for family matters. We do have a quorum, so we'll have a regular business meeting and vote everything we need to vote into being tonight. And with that, our very first item this evening is that the chair requests from the membership a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing a wage contract negotiations with union personnel from the Foxborough Educational Secretaries Association, Foxborough Food Services, Foxborough Education Association with the educational assistance focus. And I will entertain that motion now, should anyone wish to offer one.
I so move.
Second.
All right, and all in favor?
We need a roll call. Sorry.
Roll call.
We doing roll call for this?
Or executive.
Yes.
Ms. Raymond, aye.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Canfield, aye, and Mr. Reuter, aye. That's 3-0-0. Aye. We will enter into executive session. Folks watching and here, we expect to be back around 7 p.m. or thereabouts. Thank you. All right, everybody, welcome back. We closed executive session, and so we're going to open back up to our regular session. And the first item on our agenda post-executive session is open public comment. Is there anybody here for open public comment? Seeing none, I'll acknowledge and say thank you to those community members who used our community inbox. There were several, and we encourage folks in our community to continue to do that because we always read them. Every member gets it and becomes part of the public record for the school committee on topics of the day and anything of the like. So thank you for that. So the first item after that is to actually vote on those items discussed in executive session, which was again for the purposes of discussing the wage contract negotiations with union personnel of 3 different bargaining units. And so first, I'll entertain a motion to vote on the proposed FY 23 through 25 Foxborough Educational Secretaries Association collective bargaining agreement.
I so move.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Canfield, second. And all those in favor of
We need
approving?
to do a roll call?
No.
We don't.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye, aye, aye. That's 3-0-0. Passes unanimously. Second, to vote on the proposed FY 23 through 25 Foxborough Food Services Memorandum of Agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? 3-0-0.
This is incredibly efficient.
We are the best. I think we're at least in the top 3 of school committee members. Lastly, vote on the proposed FY 23 through 25 Foxborough Educational Association Educational Assistance Collective Bargaining Agreement.
So move.
Second.
You're good at that. Yeah, I know. And second, okay, all those in favor? 3-0-0. All those pass. Thank you, everybody from the district and everybody from Food Services, everybody from the Educational Secretaries Association and all the educational assistants for all the work you do. I hope you feel honored by the agreements that you've bargained for. Nothing can compensate you fully for the work you do for our kids in our district, but I'm pleased that you're all the agreements are set and then we can move forward. Next, moving on to approval of minutes. Looking at the April 12th, 2022 minutes. Do any committee members have any edits, concerns, points of stylistic editing?
I do not. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the April 12th, 2022 meeting.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor? 3-0-0. Next, the May 3rd minutes. Any discussion, amendments,
No?
critiques? I have none. They're very thorough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very thorough.
I'll make a motion that we approve the May 3rd minutes, or excuse me, the minutes from the May 3rd, 2022 meeting.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor? 300. Excellent. That's a lot of pages. Next. Cool. Next, we have our teaching and learning highlight. Dr. Verdos, would you like to introduce?
I am so excited to introduce everyone that's sitting here. First of all, congratulations. We are so proud of our jazz ensemble under the direction of Mr. Aaron Bush. I'm going to ask Mr. Bush if he'll come up forward, and our Director of Music, Ms. Cami Tedoldi. You have some amazing musicians sitting here in front of you this evening. And, you know, even just like when we think about the article by Jeff Peterson here, it was such a lovely article that he did based on all that you've accomplished. And I don't know who you would like to, if you have other people you're going to bring up to the guest table, or you're going to bring them up as we...
Yeah, so why don't you
as
guys
we-
all stand up and stand around the table here. Sophia, why don't you sit down here? Sean, why
So-
don't you sit over here?
As they're moving forward, I just think that what you're going to hear, I want everyone to really pause and think of the magnitude of the accomplishments of Foxborough High School's jazz ensemble. When we think about essentially Ellington, repeated and repeated and repeated invitations, and then to come in second. And then I watched online the 3 hours as far as the awards, and the only other thing before I'll turn it over, one of the things other than your performance and all of the awards that were outstanding, that was so exciting to see for me and so well-deserved, was when they had all of the 15 band directors come up on stage, and the applause and the standing ovation for all of the band directors and the work. And we think about how hard it has been in this time to be able to bring people together, and what you've done from a music standpoint, from staying together and at the caliber that you have, and the motivation and the standing ovation. And I think it went on for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, the best part was what they stood up for about 2 minutes clapping for the band directors and then went, all right, we're good. We're good. He's good, but we're all set.
I just before you get started, it just really is, it speaks to our music educators, it speaks to our students and all that you've accomplished.
you.
But it was just really exciting. If you couldn't be there in New York, to be able to watch it live stream. So, Mr. Bush, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Well, it's such a pleasure to be here in front of you all with these people that I love so much. And I think it would be more special for them to tell you about the experience. So we have Sophia Davis here, and Sean Kelly, and anybody else who'd like to speak about it too. What this experience meant to you, and what went into the acceptance, and why it was special.
Do you want to hear a clip of a play first?
Sure. Would you like to hear us play?
Of course.
We ripped it off of Facebook. But this to set it up for you, we played first. So these are there are several hundred groups that audition for Essentially Ellington every year. That's a program run by Jazz at Lincoln Center, spearheaded by Wynton Marsalis. And over 800,000 students across the country have been afforded the opportunity to play the music of Duke Ellington for free. And schools that are interested in participating can send in a CD of themselves playing the music of Duke Ellington, and the top 15 bands from the country and parts of Canada are invited to Jazz at Lincoln Center at the House of Swing in New York City, where they compete over 4 days and are immersed in jam sessions and master classes and question and answers with Wynton and rest of the band. And the camaraderie among the other groups is spectacular. So this was from our performance Saturday morning, and we'll probably play for you maybe a first tune or so you don't have to hear the whole thing.
Give them a big welcome. Let's start the day in a good fashion. Start the day right.
So, thank you. So our students can speak far more eloquently and beautifully about this experience than I can. So take it away, Professor.
Okay, so let's see. So I was fortunate enough to be able to go to essentially Ellington my freshman year, along with Sophia and also Abby over there. And, you know, I think I can speak for all three of us where we can say that was life-changing in and of itself. And then being able to go, you know, this year in person, we did get in, you know, last year, which was nice as well. That was all online, but being able to get back there, going back to freshman year, except with a totally new perspective, it was so interesting because, you know, as a freshman, you don't necessarily know how important it really is and how outstanding it is that you're there. But then, you know, when you are a senior, you kind of can see all the work that gets put into it from all the ensembles, and, you know, you kind of are able to reflect and see what has changed in your personal playing and, you know, how you've developed to be able to go back and kind of demonstrate all that you've learned at such a high level is something that was extraordinarily special. And, you know, just from like all the other workshops we did, because it was much more than just the performance. We also did like the jam sessions like Mr. Bush spoke about, master classes where we got to work with members of Jazz at Lincoln Center. And, you know, I learned so much just from like an hour being in room with those outstanding musicians. And it's just such a special experience that it truly does change your life. And I fully believe that. And I'm so thankful that I was able to go again with this outstanding band that I love with all my heart. And it's just something that I will carry with me for so long. And thank you to you all, of course, for, you know, helping us and, you know, supporting the arts. You know, it obviously means so much to us. But yeah.
Me and Sean like to call it a full circle moment. We like to label it as. So it really was, though. What really struck me going back was I really realized how it's so unique as high school students that we are so fortunate enough to be able to go and travel to this competition, being surrounded by students who are the same age as you, have the same passion as you, and work and understand how hard you work. And that's really hard to find in high school. So I found that to be, I was so grateful to be able to go and experience that again with students, you know, going through my 4 years and looking back and seeing as a freshman, I was, you know, kind of ignorant to what, you know, how hard they worked, honestly. But now looking back, I completely understand, and it made my love for the music, for the people, for everything so much deeper. And I know the whole band is just so grateful for the opportunity we've been provided with you folks and from our community, the FMA, you know, the Foxborough Cable Access, everyone. We're so grateful for all of them and the community that we're in to help support us. So.
Anybody else want to say anything about it? It's your band.
So, I wanted to reiterate what Sean and Sophie were both saying about this experience being life-changing.
Let me stop you 1 second. Would you mind, because we know Sophie and Sean, because they got introduced, but can you tell us your name?
Ben Carter.
Thank you, Ben.
So I would like to reiterate what Sean and Sophia were saying about this experience being life-changing. And as for me, I want to be a music major, and I want to continue with this for the rest of my life. And it was just an incredibly rewarding experience, having such a passion for this, for the music, for these people, and then getting to play on that stage in front of an audience that was supportive of fantastic musicians, and just getting to play that quality music. And having this passion and having the community that supports the arts so much and having hardworking people that I'm playing this music with meant a lot, and I get really emotional talking about it. But I've never been more thankful for any experience in my entire life, and I really mean that.
That's great.
So, yeah, that's all I had to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. And I get full, that's what Wynton says. When Wynton hears something that he gets very emotional throughout the entire process, and he goes, man, I get so full every time I hear these kids talk. So I get so full every time I hear them talk.
You know, Mrs. Myers-Pacla, she's sitting back behind you, but she was a chaperone. I don't think it was a hard chaperone trip to do. Very enjoyable.
Tough crew.
Well, we deeply love Miss Myers-Pacla and the love that she's shown our music program throughout the years. She went with us 3 years ago, and she loves these students, and we all love her very much.
I think my favorite moment, I'm sorry, from the watching it online was when Ms. Tedoldi and Ms. Myers-Pacla were, when it was announced, and the two of you jumping up and down higher and longer and with more exuberance than anybody else as part of the group. So I watched that part repeatedly.
Right. Yeah, all the musicians were like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, we nailed it.
Yeah.
Like, this was totally
Yeah, with
deserved.
hugging and dancing
And it's all the
behind
adults
you.
who are losing
Right.
their minds.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we
Anyone
don't want
else?
to take up all of your time.
I have a couple of questions, can I?
Please.
That's
Sure.
where we're going.
So breakdown, how many seniors?
There it is.
Okay, and how many freshmen? That's amazing, right?
Nice mix, man.
So in 3 years, we'll be back and you'll have your full circle, and then there's everybody in between, right?
No pressure.
Right? That's right. And for the freshmen, does anybody want to talk for a second? Did you have any idea what you were walking into? Or actually, this is the first time in person for anybody that wasn't a senior, right?
Actually,
so
it is,
anybody,
yeah.
all right. So anybody, if this was your first time actually live in person, what was it like?
Juniors, I think we saw you guys. Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Emma Lacey. I'm a junior, and so I was in the band last year's first time, and we did again. It was essentially Ellington, but it was all virtual, so we just, recorded some tunes to showcase in our auditorium, and we still had question answer and some kind of virtual jam sessions put together. But then I was really excited then to kind of experience the whole thing over again this year in person. So, the musical aspects of it, oh my gosh, it's just been... It was a real time. It was, only 3-4 days, but just the amount of growth that you get from playing with a new set of people who are better than you from across the entire country is really, that's a one-in-a-lifetime experience. And then just kind of on the personal side of it, something that really struck me is how it is a competition and you're playing, you're getting judged, and you're going to be ranked against 14 other bands, but how much, despite the competitive aspect of it, how supportive absolutely everyone was, where you talk with someone, have a conversation with them for 5 minutes, and the next day they see you perform, and they're cheering you on with their entire band and their section, and just the camaraderie and just the mutual love for this music, and, everyone loves their band, and I think that really is shown through the music, and how much, that can be shown virtually, but also how much being in person especially enhanced that, and just how... we're all going to remember the performance and the competition, of course, but I think most of all, we're all going to remember the support that we felt from everyone in person, all the other bands, and our own band. It's really special and really is life-changing.
That's great. Thank
Not
you.
to continue to put you on the spot, but I know that you did well together, but I also heard tell of some individual accolades that came down.
Yes,
Do
so
you mind bragging on that for a tad?
absolutely, yeah. So essentially, Ellington does give out individual soloist awards and section awards, which are very prestigious, that are voted on by Wynton Marsalis, other judges, Jeff Hamilton, Joe Lovano. These are the heaviest of cats in the field. And so we had a number of soloist awards. Honorable mention for guitar went to Ben Carter. Honorable mention trombone went to Sean Kelly, who you heard speak earlier. There was an outstanding trumpet soloist award for Cam Shave, who's new to our program this year, but we love very deeply. And we consider him having always been a part of our family here, even if he's here for 1 year. Emma Lacey, who you just heard, received an outstanding doubler award, which means that she demonstrates incredible ability on both alto saxophone and clarinet. And if you watch on your own time, if you watch the rest of that set, she's actually right there playing a clarinet feature. And she solos in all 3 tunes on different instruments. And Emma also received really the most prestigious award at the entire festival, which is called the Ella Fitzgerald Soloist Award. And this is given to the top soloist in the entire festival. And Emma not only received this year, but received it last year as well. And to my knowledge is the only student in essentially Ellington's 27 history that has received that award more than once. And when she went up to accept the award, she hates that I'm talking about her right now. When she went up to accept the award, Winton looked her in the eye and said, "We have a gig waiting for you." And he means it, because Winton is, yeah, he's heavy. And Winton has a tremendous amount of respect for the program, and we're so lucky to have been afforded the opportunity to play for him and with him and play in the night concert with Kenny Rampton. Am I missing any soloist awards? I think that was it. Section awards too. Oh my gosh, yeah. So we got not only the saxophone section award, but also the brass section award, both trombone and trumpet together. And when I think about the accomplishments that this band have achieved, I really need to reiterate and remind and make sure we all know that the accomplishments of these students is not because of myself or Miss Tedoldi or even Miss Myers-Pakla. The success of this band comes from the individual mentorship that they give one another. And at any given point in time during the week, before school, after school, you can walk through the music suite and see our oldest students mentoring our youngest students and working with them for free, because they are servant leaders and they're committed to this family and committed to the success of others. And I think every single older student in this band will say that they're most proud of the entire experience. They're the most proud of the youngest members of the ensemble, because they know that they will be the future of the program and will be the ones that will then give back. So we're very fortunate to have that, and this is a very special group of young people, and we're so thrilled to have been given the opportunity to represent you with the support that you've shown us, and the town of Foxborough and New England. We came to swing. Oh, yeah. And we will also be performing one more time right over there at the Common.
That's right.
The Town Common. We always do the first JC's concert on the Common, which will be June 9th, Thursday, June 9th. So if you'd like to hear your Foxborough High School Jazz Ensemble swinging, will be Thursday night. I believe it starts at 6 p.m. And there'll also be performances by our vocal jazz ensemble as well. So you can hear these students play that music from Essentially Ellington and a bunch of other music, because we have a huge curriculum that we can't wait to share with you all.
That's great. Thank you so much. So excited that you were able to do this and get that experience. I can only imagine. So thank you so much.
I asked my questions. No, I enjoyed watching it, like I said, and watching it several parts of it repeatedly. So congratulations again. Thank you guys for the work that you put in for representing the town and the high school and all of us so well. And we're looking forward to enjoying more concerts over the next few years. So thank you.
I was going to add, I do want to pile on the Bragg Festival a bit, in that I do like looking up the other schools who attend this competition. It's become a hobby of mine, and you all can comment if you'd like, but I will say the number of arts magnet schools that have more kids in their district than we have human beings living in this small town is shocking. And you're more than the little engine that could. You're the little engine that came and comes and wins. So it's really just impressive that we have a little town here in New England, comprehensive high school, and I'm not going to play the full game that Mr. Tedoldi does, but I know from previous concerts that a lot of you are involved in athletics, a lot of you volunteer in our community, a lot of you work, a lot of you take classes all up and down the line, and a lot of you are interested in vocational education and higher level education and all things, and that you all as a collection of student musicians are really representative of both your school and the town. I couldn't be prouder. So thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Looking forward to the 9th.
And Mr. Bush, I'll give you another copy of Jeff Peterson's
thanks, man.
article so you can have it and you can put another frame to it.
I will mention really quickly,
Frame it.
one quick thing that I am.
Please?
Yes. One quick thing that I am also incredibly proud of. Over half of our band is made up of girls. And I see that as I go to this festival and I see all of these bands perform and not many women in jazz, I'm so proud of our female leaders in our program that we are representative of our whole school community. And to me, that is, I am as proud of that as any other thing that we do throughout the year, which I think is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks
Thank
for coming
you so much
tonight,
for being
too.
here.
Thank you.
We're
Enjoy it.
exceedingly proud of you.
Thank you. All right,
Thank you, Mr. Tedoldi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're not going to let Ashley go anywhere, even though she was here with essentially Ellington, too.
No,
We're not gonna
no,
let her
Ashley,
go
yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah, Ashley, you got double duty tonight, don't you? Yeah, you're next up.
Come on up.
That's right. Next up on the agenda, the proposed peace pole installation discussion following
Great, Emma,
from
too.
what we started our last meeting.
Should we be up here?
Come on up. Yeah, anybody who wants to discuss the peace pole, come on up, please.
Yeah, Emma's doing double duty as well.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's right.
Emma.
A lot of you are. Oh, because, yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh.
You're fine. Come on up.
Yeah, pull the chair.
And do you want me to intro or you?
You can if you want to.
I'll start and I'll pass you. So just for context, folks who are watching at home, we started this discussion last meeting, and the students had proposed installing a peace pole at the on the campus of the Foxborough High School. Give a very well thought out, both in terms of rationale, history, and then in terms of doing the costs and all the logistics involved. And we had invited them back to see if any members had questions or any other things that had come up from your team proposing this in the last couple of weeks before we actually voted on it. So with that, is there anything else that I should
No, I just
say?
think that they're part of the Interact Club, which is a Rotary-sponsored
right.
club, so it's that nice partnership that's there. And I agree, they did a great job of presenting. And the only other thing that I'll add is what I had stated at the last meeting, which is there's not any policy that precludes you from that vote as far as installing a peace pole.
That's right. Oh, that's right. And actually, yeah. So, was there anything that any folks who didn't get to speak last time wanted to add? I mean, I will say that those who were not able to join us, you were represented very well by the people you coached heavily, obviously.
Could we just introduce ourselves again? 'Cause I
Please
didn't
do.
get a
Yeah,
chance.
and if you don't mind, I would, yes. I think it's good for just everybody to hear context.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Well, you guys know me. I'm Ashley Conlin. I'm a junior, and I am the president of Interact Club.
Hi, I'm Anya Fitzpatrick, and I'm also a junior, and I'm the vice president of this club.
Hi, I'm Jamie Kenzel. I am also a junior, and I'm the secretary of the Interact Club.
And my name is Emma Lacey. I'm a junior, and I'm publicity coordinator of the Interact Club.
Unfortunately, our treasurer, Grace Preston, she's a senior. She couldn't make it tonight, but she is here in spirit. So I don't think we really have anything more to touch on regarding the poll. If anyone has anything they want to talk about, all that we're really hoping is to hear a yes from you guys. But once we get a plan and get a day when we want to insert it, how that plan going forward will go, we'll probably look into designs, how we're going to put it together. Yeah.
That's excellent. Anybody on the committee have any comments or questions?
I didn't really, it was
After this,
such a
yeah.
thorough.
That's what I was thinking.
It was such a
We
thorough
covered it all at the last meeting, so
presentation.
thank you.
The documentation that was provided was thorough. I think it answered any question that I might have had already. So,
Well, speaking for Mr. Pearson and Ms. Ladani, who aren't here, they were also wanted to convey their thank yous and just how they were impressed. I believe can't remember which one of them now, I'm blanking, however, but they were impressed with how thorough you were and the fact that you basically, you put together a professional proposal. Like the things that you actually need to do in the real world to get things done is it always starts with your mission, vision, and values, and then you move it on down to what it is you need and how you're going to accomplish it, who's impacted, and you all hit that. So please keep doing that for the rest of your life because things will get done. So barring any other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion to approve the proposed peace pole installation at Foxborough High School as presented in our prior meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? 300. You're in.
So you got your yes.
Well done. Keep doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a lovely
you.
evening.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda is the FHS Guidance Services update, but we, I believe, are going to table that up until next meeting when we can have more representation from the department and review their report. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns from committee or admin about tabling that?
Nope, we just had an emergency situation to where we needed to postpone it into the next meeting.
That's
And that
fine.
was just for informational purposes only, so
correct.
Right.
it wasn't anything that we were voting on.
That's good, right? And we don't
So,
need
yeah.
to vote on that, so, okay, that's fine. Okay, well then, wonderful. We'll move on there. And now we have the Wellness Committee update. Dr. Berdos, would you like to introduce, or?
I will,
have
and
me
I,
stumble through?
because we ended up not having this agenda item and we've kind of moved rather quickly, Jen Rosenberg, our nurse leader, we have this at 8:05 on the agenda, so she's not here yet.
Would you rather?
So that's my question that I wanted to ask Janice, who's our Director of Food Service. Would you rather table this until later in the evening and we go through the rest of our agenda items, and then that way it gives a little bit more time
Sure, if
for
you
Ms.
want to
Rosenberg to show up?
push us back till Ms.
Yeah.
Rosenberg comes?
That's fine, then we'll
That'd
be
be great.
closer to the time that you were actually
Yes.
slated for, and you can
Absolutely.
go at that time.
Thank you for your flexibility.
Yeah, with the indulgence of the committee, we'll move up to the superintendent's update, if that's okay with you, Dr. Berdos?
Yes.
Then you are
So,
on.
just to begin, one of the things is what I've done in the past, I've continued to talk about as far as our vaccination rates and our COVID numbers. We've seen that increase a little bit here. We've seen that across the town and as well as within the district as well. Again, it's still small numbers. Our vaccination rates have not changed. We continue to, well, on the numbers themselves for COVID, we continue to update those weekly on Wednesdays on our website. And then the vaccination rates, they have not changed. We've run those numbers again. We ran them again today. So just as a reminder, when we look at that, Foxborough High School overall is 81%. The middle school is 74%. The Burrell without preschool is 66%. It's 51% if you include the pre-K population. The IGO is at 63%, and the Taylor right there is at 64%. So we've not seen those increase. I don't anticipate at this point that we'll continue to see those numbers, but we will continue to track them and to watch them very carefully. I know that our nurses are continuing to speak, regularly, even daily, with our families with questions, particularly with the numbers that are increasing in some schools. We've seen more at the middle school than compared to the others, and then at the Burrell. So it fluctuates. Continuing to watch those. We've been told that we'll see more guidance coming out from the Department of Ed sometime soon. Again, we'll believe that when we see that. But other than that, we're continuing to follow the protocols that we have, continuing with our test and stay, and then even with our contact tracing that we've had. And what Ms. Rosenberg, when she's here, if you have follow-up questions with the Wellness Committee, can certainly ask her. But we're not seeing it in the schools. We're seeing it come forward from families.
Right. That's where the tests are done, yeah.
And we're doing the test and stay in schools, but as far as when the tests are reported, they're being reported coming, it's not coming out of our test and stay.
Right.
It's coming forward from families.
So what you're saying is the transmissions are not occurring at school, they're occurring more from family members
Correct.
to students.
That's what we're saying. So
Rather than
even
the
when you
other
think
way
about the
around.
lunch table as an example, that they're watching that very closely, it's not taking place there. It's coming forward from families.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
The other update, so today and yesterday, we had full site visits with our two principal candidates for the IGO. Damian Segru was yesterday, and Danielle Morrissey was today. So great site visits for both of them. I spent the full day at the IGO. It was wonderful for me to be in classrooms all day, kind of in residence at the IGO with them, but more than anything, just to continue to show both candidates, and they got to see firsthand the wonderful things that are taking place in our classrooms. And they both just had such positive things to say at the end of the day on what they saw with our students, and just really accolades to our students and our teachers. So that process, I'm in the process of reference checking, and that will take the continuation of this week, and hope to have more news by the end of this week. So it's a long process as far as, it's not just done as of today. It's not that easy of a decision. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Right.
And getting the feedback from all our faculty and staff. They all complete feedback forms as well. We had parents that came in, they complete feedback forms. I take all that information in as well. So having parents come in.
Wow.
So there's a lot more information.
So that's a big day for these candidates, right? They're seeing kids, they're seeing faculty, they're seeing families.
Yes, they had a second full interview with our administrative team. That was another interview. They meet separately, not only with parents, but with curriculum directors. They meet with important other staff members, like with Erin Murray, our nurse, and with Christine Holsky, our administrative assistant, because you talk about the life of a building. So they have separate time.
Yeah.
With our food service, with our custodial staff, they have separate meetings with them, get feedback forms completed after they've had an opportunity to meet as well. So it's a very long day for the candidates. They started at 8 o'clock this morning, and the last one left my office about 5 o'clock this afternoon.
It's a long day.
So,
Thank you for doing it.
but yes, it's great. And again, thank you to Dr. Mello for spearheading that to begin with, and then all those that participated, like yourself, on that committee of 14.
Sure.
So more information to come there.
Okay.
The last update that I had really, and it's kind of a discussion a little bit, what has to do with my evaluation, which takes place in the month of June for that last part of the process, which is I present goals and then the 4 standards. That information is typically been presented at the first meeting in June.
Okay.
That's a presentation from myself, and then I end up meeting individually with school committee members. And then the second meeting in June is another opportunity if there's further questions. Typically in the past, after all the individual meetings in that first presentation, there has not really been more information that's needed to be provided, but then you're providing your individual summatives for the composite for the chair. So I really have 2 questions for you this evening. It might kind of be 3 questions. The first one is based on what we will have on the agenda for the June meeting, which is the 14th.
Yep.
And the next one is not until the 28th. It will be a full agenda. It could be a long evening. So if we could either do one of 2 things, we could have all the individual meetings and the presentation taking place at the second meeting in June, but it's not until the 28th. Or we could have a long evening on that first meeting in June, knowing it would be a longer meeting because, like, for instance, we have the guidance that's now going to be tabled. Or the last part of that is we could schedule an additional meeting for just that purpose if you wanted to. Janet has looked at the availability of here at the town hall on June 8th. So that probably was as clear as mud, but.
No, that's fine. You're suggesting we either pilot it, option A is we pilot all into the 14th, Option B is we add a meeting, special meeting, on the 8th, and you're suggesting that that purpose is focused in on eval?
That's what it would be, the sole purpose for that.
Okay.
Or option 3 is push it to the second meeting in June.
The 28th, yeah.
20. So my only comment was, I'm
Yep.
not going to be here on the 14th,
Okay,
so however that
whatever meeting.
affects.
Right. I would,
other pieces.
my preference is that we get as many of us here for the, at least for
Right.
the eval meeting, since we're all writing on it. So that helps, that at least help, that's my preference, is that
Right,
doing that in abstention is a little harder.
right.
So you have the 28th that's already scheduled, so you know members that will be here. The harder part with the 28th being after school is out. Any of the things that would take place at a meeting with teachers, school is out and they're not
Right.
here. That's why the agenda is going to be so heavy on the
The
14th.
14th. Okay. Then I guess my question for you is more procedural for both you and Janet is, what's our, by when should we make this decision? Because I would
So-
like to discuss with Mr. Pearson and Ms. Ladani as well.
The other piece of it is that we typically present the evaluation at our summer session.
Correct.
So, which we haven't scheduled, I don't think.
We haven't yet.
Right.
So that, if we push this to the end of June, it gives you a tighter window, it gives us a tighter window to send our comments in, you to compile, and then prepare for presentation back.
Yep.
So,
And that, there actually is a window that we're bound by on the eval too, yeah? Isn't that the 15th of June or July? Okay.
No, we end up having to submit the ratings to the Department of Ed by August at the latest. So you have time there. As far as your school committee goals, it says in the month of June.
And then I guess my preference would be to see if we could get folks together on the 8th for that purpose and let the more teacher and district staff heavy stuff, reports, guidance and stuff fall on the 14th, if that sounds comfortable to people in the room.
I'm comfortable with that. I think we should just check and ensure that both Sarah and Richard are able to
Exactly.
attend on that.
Okay. I'll check in with them following tonight, after we adjourn tonight, and then if that's something I can get back to you both on, probably by end of business tomorrow.
That's plenty of time.
Is that comfortable?
Sure.
Okay, then fine. Thanks to everybody. And thank you for framing out those options. It's very helpful and it's necessary to look ahead. I appreciate it.
And I'll just lastly say, update, not an update, just a reminder, seniors last day. I know a couple of you have seniors. They're done on Friday, in case you didn't know.
These two knew.
I think mine was done a month ago.
How's it in
They
your
are
house, Ms.
officially done
Raven?
with school. Yes.
Yes.
You've heard that? This is Friday, you heard that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
I've heard.
Oh, he
yeah.
let it slip, okay. That's awesome. Congratulations.
And then this really could have gone under other matters, but I just wanted to comment on, last night at the Ahern, we had a presentation for parents on Ryan's story. And
Yes.
that is on Ryan Halligan, and it was actually his father, John, who presents. He's presented to over 2,000 schools across the country, and his son had committed suicide. This was many, many years ago, and he has gone forward to speak with students, middle school and high school students. And Karen Frazier, the middle school principal, brought this in to all students, and they had a presentation on during the day yesterday, and then parents last night. We had about 50 parents, from what I could count, that were there in his presentation. And it was, a lot of parents reached out to Ms. Frazier and thanked her for providing that to students. I think it was a topic of conversation coming home. And the presentation for students was definitely very different than what was presented to parents last night. And it was an emotional presentation, but really the importance of being an upstander, not a bystander, having someone else to talk with. It's about self-advocacy as far as suicide prevention. and advocacy for others. And the other pieces that he talked with the students about, apologize to people. If you've done harm to someone, apologize to them. Think about when you hear friends. We know so many times it's friends that will hear things. Be the person that is the upstander and that will speak up and to say something. And the importance, like even as a parent, making sure that your children have someone that they can always talk with. You know, you might think, I know I have 4 children, I think that they tell me everything. I know that they don't. But at the same time, it's a matter of knowing that if they had something they couldn't come to myself or their father, to have somebody else that they could speak with. And that, and lastly, that they are loved beyond belief. And to know that. So I'm really thankful for the many parents that were able to come out, and that for Ms. Frazier bringing that to the middle school and for the students, and to hear that message.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
I know from just, I have a middle schooler currently, and just in that circle of humans that my life touches, that many of those families who were unable to come last night were still discussing it very actively with their kids in terms of the following up from the presentation they had at school. So the impact is on families is far bigger than I imagine than the audience that they had last night as well.
So that's it for my update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any follow-ups from committee members? All right, let's move on. And would you like to, are folks in a position where they would like to, oh, well then, welcome and come forward. Now we'll get the Wellness Committee update. Come on up. We had some shuffling of the agenda, so thank you so much for indulging us and coming on 20 minutes early. This probably will never happen again.
Listening as I was driving here, and I was like, "Oh no,
You're fine.
I'm on my way." So I apologize. I'm late.
You're not late at all. We had a rare opening.
So we're going to have them show this video about the whole school, whole child. That kind of explains the way that is recommended, a recommended model for wellness. So.
And we're the Wellness Committee. I'm Nicole Quinn, Burrell School nurse.
Yeah.
Jen Rosenberg, nurse leader, Ahern Middle School nurse.
And Janice Watt, food director.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Everyone I've ever met wants what's better for themselves and for their kids, but oftentimes they're kind of just stuck within whatever they've been doing and they don't have a different way to see it. So the WISC model is providing the structure around not just telling people to do something, but also saying that we're willing to do what it takes to change the structure of the school and the resources available within the school to make it a possibility for programs to thrive.
If the priority is for students and their success, there's no better platform to operate from. There's no better way to start a conversation. What is it that you can do to help my students be successful, and are you willing to step up and do it? And having those conversations when you move from that platform are very, very easy.
Health and wellness, it's not just eating right and staying active. You also have to make sure that you're thinking about the mental health and well-being of students. Making sure that there's a lot of support for kids is really important.
It really becomes everyone's responsibility to support the kids. I think the WISC model speaks to that because it's not just the school district's responsibility. It's not just the parents' responsibility. It's not just the community's responsibility. It's all of our responsibility to work together.
Our WISC team took on work with our wellness policy to make it a comprehensive wellness policy. And by including language in the wellness policy about our WISC team, it gives us a clear role in continuing to assess that policy going forward. So in that way, we're promoting our wellness efforts overall, but also the policy that we crafted helps support and sustain our WSCC team.
We have a health coordinator, which is helping to collaborate with various agencies. She attends the community health team, which has lots of stakeholders that are focused on health initiatives in our community.
Being able to build that community, both from the outside in and the inside out, has really kind of opened up our fences that are around the school and allowed people to know what's happening at Crockett.
We've seen such improvements in participation and ease of use, and this really not being an add-on at all by looking at all the teams that we already have, all the things that we're already required to do, finding the overlap and consolidating them into our WISC team.
It's hard for me to think about the costs that are associated with this work because the vast majority of it is just based on in-house staff that we have and work that we're already doing.
If I didn't have it within my budget, I found other avenues to pull fiscal opportunities from, grants, partnerships, community supports, to make sure that things that needed to be funded within that model were funded.
I think when it comes to actionable change in a school environment, that it's good to start with small wins. Pick low-hanging fruit. And if it can be done through the logistics on our campus, it's an easy start.
I feel like it seems like a lot of work at times, but it actually has been less work because there's less meetings, there's more collaboration, and I think you get more done when there's more people working together. It doesn't all have to happen at once. It's definitely, always in progress. You're just adding things each year.
From a parent perspective, just going to the meetings and just taking the baby steps that we've taken, it really just seems to flow. And I think it's something that our community and our teachers and our school principals, administration has really wanted, and it's a good thing.
Sticking to the vision and the mission, having the courage and the faith to continue to persevere in the direction that we know that the WISC model has demonstrated can be most successful for kids and families and schools.
So, school wellness, I've been here since 2016 and was always a co-chair of the wellness team. And so we were kind of on hiatus during COVID, obviously, because we were busy, feeding kids and keeping people alive, which I think is wellness, wellness related.
You get to call that hiatus.
We just shifted gears a little bit.
We didn't meet about it, should we say. And, we had members move on, like Michelle McCarthy retired, Linda Mealy was the lead nurse, she retired. We had parents who had seniors and students, so they graduated. So, I've had interns serve on the committee, and of course they moved on. And the original wellness committee, little history on wellness committees, that came into fruition through the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act, almost like 10 to 15 years ago. And it was mostly focused on nutrition, nutrition promotion, and physical activity. So I'm so thrilled now that we are evolving to the whole child, the social, emotional stuff. It's so key. I mean, we just talked about that. And this is really the whole school, whole child model is just so great for, it aligns with our strategic plan. I was part of the Planning for Success, and a lot of it is meshed. So I'm going to turn it over to Jen to talk about what we've done. We've done a lot in the past
We actually
so,
have.
right?
We've actually been so fortunate. The three of us, along with Janelle Erskine, who is the director of wellness in the district, we were able to take a 4-week class through Framingham State University on school. It was titled,
I never remember the name of it.
School Wellness for Student Success. And it was an online course. The four of us did meet in person. We met regularly through Zoom, just trying to brainstorm how are we going to get this wellness committee back on track. We came up with some great ideas. because there's definitely, we looked at the policy and there's definitely some gaps. We did a well-sat examination of the policy and we identified those gaps. One of the biggest gaps I think we found was in the social emotional, the mental health piece wasn't mentioned. So one of our goals for next year, Nicole will talk about, will be, evaluating that policy. But also, before I get too thick in the weeds, I can't thank Janice enough for kind of starting. It all started with an email to me. She's forwarded me this class. Well, what do you think about this? And, it was the middle. It had just started. COVID was almost winding down a little bit. And I'm like, oh, we could do it. We could pull it off. And then I emailed. I said, what if we got a couple more members, stakeholders. And so that's when I reached out to Nicole, because I know she's so passionate about these kind of things, and Janelle Erskine. And they were right on board. And so we were fortunate enough to have a grant that paid for all of us to attend. We were the only community that had 4 members attend this class, this online class. And it was filled with weekly discussions. We were able to, it was a message board and, some really kind of thoughtful conversations came up, talked about what are barriers to doing a wellness program. And, a lot of it was people were talking about lack of support. And with the 4 of us looked at each other and said, that's not going to be a problem here in Foxborough, because we know that we have a lot of support. And time commitment, that we did talk about that. But we were able to kind of brainstorm and came up with a new committee that we are going to have, and we've already asked a few of the members. We want a diversified representation of the committee. We want parents, student, we want a community member. I already reached out to the YMCA. So we want to have these stakeholders that are really, it isn't just about nutrition, like Janice said. It's about the whole child. It's about physical activity. It's about the mental health and how we can collaborate and kind of move forward. One of the big takeaways that I kind of took away from the course was that one is the lack of mental health reference for the wellness policy, the membership of our team. We didn't want it to have so many members where we felt like too many, sometimes too many opinions, but I think many hands make a light work, and if you have the right group of people, you can get some stuff done. And also, one of the things that we didn't want to overwhelm ourselves, because, we have a lot still going on, and, things are going to change next year as far as the food services department. Nursing is still busy. Things are slowed down a little bit, but we're still busy doing our regular nursing. Right. So we wanted to set realistic goals for next year, and Nicole will talk about that. And then the last thing was just one of the major things that a lot of the staff members don't know that we have a wellness policy and that it exists. So we want to make sure that it gets, out there, so that people are actually following it, because we do have a pretty strict wellness policy about as far as food and reward. So we want to make sure that it's consistent throughout all 3 of the levels. So that was one of the other things that kind of came up as we were brainstorming.
Cool.
But as far as next steps, Nicole was going to talk about.
Yeah, so we have a policy, we've identified where the need is for improvement. Now we have our team, and now the next step is to grow our team. So we've identified the right people in our community that we want to invite. So far, so good. I think we're 3 for 3, so we have a few more to go.
Nice.
And then the next step would be to meet together and start setting goals.
Mm-hmm.
What is our goal here? What is our purpose?
Yeah.
What haven't we done? Where are we lacking? A lot has happened in the last few years where, so we need to kind of adapt and grow the wellness committee and make it fit for our lives today. And really it's all about, keeping the kids healthy and safe and happy, and and like they said in the video, it's not going to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. It's going to take some time to evolve. Yeah. And I think, little by little, even if we could just set one initiative each school year, mm-hmm. and work towards that initiative, but have the input of each and every one of the stakeholders who represent all the different groups that support the student. And so, I think there's a lot of fun work ahead of us. Mm-hmm. But like you said, Jen, we have to keep it realistic, right? We're all busy. We all have major time constraints. And so that's kind of the trick for us, is trying to sell it and make it feasible and doable, right? So that people want to do it and can do it, so.
We did have like a lot of brainstorming ideas, and then it got to be like, oh, there's so much you want to do, right? We want to, especially the piece, we talked about like the physical health kind of tying into the mental health. And that's a big piece. You often kind of, you forget about that piece of the physical health. So pulling in Janelle and all the wellness teachers and what can we do to kind of get these kids, you know, they're struggling mentally, but like, how can we improve their physical health to maybe help that too? And I think the YMCA, I know a few years ago they had a program, so looping them in and helping, and they, you know, they're all in. Dr. Burtis and I attended a meeting for community leaders, and they want to help. So just kind of tapping into those resources, I think, will be huge for our committee.
Right, and we, you know, part of the requirement of a wellness team is to, you know, evaluate the policy, talk about the policy out in public, which is why we're here. So there's, you know, we have tools to assess the policy. The what's it called? Sorry, School Health Index. So there's a couple of different assessments. So School Health Index, it's, you know, school health and safety, health education, PE, nutrition, health services, counseling, the physical environment, wellness and health promotion, family engagement, and community involvement. So we do have a lot to do, but I think thanks to Jen. Jen's like, yes, let's do this class. And it was really, I really needed that kick in the pants to,
The jump start.
to do
We just
it.
needed a jump start.
we had a
to
spark.
reignite the spark.
And it was great because, I mean, the class, there was a lot of self-reflection and a lot of talking about those barriers. And, you know, one of the assignments was we had to plan an elevator speech to try to convince people to get on board with us. And, you know, we thought of maybe doing some kind of marketing and promotion. I mean, these ladies, Janelle happened to have these Wellness Warrior t-shirts.
You got to bring them out.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's the other piece of it, is we need to educate the community that we actually have a wellness committee and a wellness policy in place, and bringing that back. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's great.
So that's our plan.
And, you know, fast forward to now, we have Zoom, right? We're so used to Zoom now, so it does make meetings a lot easier for people who are busy, which is, you know, one of the biggest barriers is trying to find time to meet. You know, if you have it after schools, sometimes it doesn't work. Can't really do it during school, so that's really great.
It actually
found
allows you to
Sunday
expand
night.
your committee and your stakeholders, as you were saying, too, to lower the burden of their attendance and getting their voice. So
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just saying, we found Sunday night was easy for all of us to Zoom.
Sunday
after a
night
long
Zooms.
weekend. So it worked out great.
Do any committee members have questions or comments, or folks?
Just
in the
I just commend you on being willing to step forward and pull this together again with everything that you have all been through over the last 2 and plus years. So thank you so much.
What did you say, Jen?
It felt good to do something non-COVID.
I can
That's the whole
imagine.
thing, right? It's like we want to shift
Understood.
the focus to like health and prevention, not treatment and trying to catch our tail. You know, it's like we just need to like
Right.
just change gears a little bit, right? Have a refreshing take on
Right.
wellness and health and something other than.
As I always like to say, it's nice to shift to being proactive
Yes.
rather than reactive.
Exactly.
And that's what we're all trying to do now, is kind of say, let's sort of plan for things,
Right.
prepare, rather than,
Rather than react. Yeah.
right. So,
So I
thank you.
just have to, sorry, Michelle, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
So it's really 2 asks. The first one is, what do you feel like you need from the school committee to help move this forward, if anything?
Just getting the word out there, I guess, that we're here and we're ready to take people's, input, I guess, and if they want to help. Yeah.
Just your support, actually. If we come up with ideas, maybe just bringing it to you and seeing if it's, I have like so many, my wheels are spinning because this is my this is my passion. I love health and wellness. And so just trying to do some community things. And so we'll definitely be asking for some support, for sure.
And then that was, and we didn't plan this, that was my second question, or my second ask is, can we get an update more frequently on this rather than once a year? Because I can tell you guys are excited about it. I think we all clearly, see the value in it and want to be able to support what you're doing and want to make sure the community, if this is a vehicle for getting the word out to the community about what's happening, can we, I guess that would be for you, Mr. Reuter and Dr. Burdos, can we get a more regular update from the committee around what's happening and how we can support at least getting the message out, if nothing more?
Absolutely.
And, just one thing I wanted to add was, through our class and analysis, what we looked at is our policy. We're going to be coming back with a revised policy, so probably, I don't know, probably not for a year or so, right? Because it's going to take a lot of work. But because there's some, what we've learned is some parts of our policy are very vague, and some are hyper specific. A lot of it is not represented, like we are doing it, but it's not verbatim written in the policy. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that has to happen.
But yeah, we'd be happy to update you on a regular basis. And if there's anything you think of or you hear in the community that they would like to see this, we would love, anything, any ideas, we'd love to. We have
That's
plenty of time.
wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I would only say, well, one thing piggybacking off what you just said, and another thing backing off what Mr. Canfield just said, and off of what you had just said, Jen. It's my selfish hope is that as your work continues and as you start to lay this out and it takes even greater shape and you allow yourselves time, give yourselves plenty of time, but to get all that stuff out there, that when the state finally puts forward their new health and wellness standards after 23 years of not putting them out, that when we look at them and we compare it to ours, we'll be like, yeah, we got it. That's my hope. But that's, perhaps a bit of grandstanding. But, and then just to piggyback off what Rob said, if it helps you and your committee to say, yeah, we're going to update the school committee in 6 months, and then, okay, work towards that, and wherever you are, just know that we would love to hear it. And if having that public forum helps you, please consider yourself invited.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's so important.
Very
That
much.
support is really what we need. And Dr. Burdos always came to the wellness meeting, so, and that in and of itself,
Speaks volumes.
because I've worked in other districts where that does not happen. So that's really what it takes, is to have that leadership represented at the meeting, so thank you.
Right, and oftentimes good leadership is somebody who's standing by saying, no, I hear you, keep going. And then you all getting your people together and doing what you do. So thank you for your professionalism and, as Michelle said, for being so proactive.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Sorry, I was late.
You weren't
You were not late.
We're not late. We were efficient.
No. It's a rare moment of being 20 minutes early. Shan't happen again, but thank you, everybody. I believe now, next item on the agenda is to discuss the Ahern chiller replacement. I believe we have materials in our packet from Mr. Yukna. And would anybody like to introduce it or talk about it a bit?
I can talk a little bit
That's fine.
about it. So
That's fine.
this is a conversation, the chillers have been approved by CIP.
Good.
We had looked at one chiller that absolutely needed to be replaced at the middle school, and then the second one, because if you can do both of them at the same time, it's advantageous financially.
Yes.
And they're both in need as well, and so we needed to go out to bid for this. So what you have in your packet is going out to bid. There were 11 companies that had requested the specifications for the project itself, and those bids were advertised and posted on May the 6th. There were 5 contractors that came forward and submitted bids, with the 3 lowest bidders being within $21,000 of each other.
That's incredible.
Enterprise Equipment, theirs appears to be the lowest qualified bid, and so we are requesting from the school committee to approve Enterprise Equipments, Inc. as the low bidders subject to final equipment submission approval. And so that would submit the equipment excluded from the allowable equipment list, and to request Mr. Yukna in this case to also take the next lowest bidder, subject to the same requirements here. So the funding for this is money that has been encumbered from FY21, and it's also from the ARPA funds, which our town CIP, which I sit on that CIP committee, has already. So it was $225,000 from the ARPA funds, and it was $235,000 that it was encumbered from FY21. And this would be completed in May of 2023.
Okay.
Nice. Any questions? Then I
would like to, I'll go ahead.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve enterprise equipment as the, award the chiller project to enterprise equipment with, subject to their approval, and then it looks like, based on the list here, Elanco Service Corp would be the second lowest bidder.
Right, subject to the final equipment submission approval? Is that-
I forgot those words. Yeah, I can remember that. I drew a blank there, so thank you.
Yes, so we have a motion on the
And
floor.
for the amount of,
Oh, thank you.
Oh, sorry,
The amount of-
$408,430.
Thank you.
We're good?
I think we're good.
I second.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 300. Motion passes. And thank you for the work, Dr. Berdos and Mr. Yukna, for getting it all together. And excited to see that move forward. Last up on the agenda, other matters. I was all excited to ask Jacob about Touch-a-Truck, because I kind of put him on the spot last meeting. So I'll wait till he comes next time for that.
If he comes.
Yeah, because he's a senior. But yeah, other matters, any committee members want to go through? Mr. Canfield?
Just a reminder to anybody watching at this point, at town meeting last week, the school budget did get full approval. So we're very excited about that. There were no challenges to that budget. And then the second, I had the great pleasure of attending the Arts and Social Justice exhibition at the Maryland Rodman Performing Arts Center this evening. I think it's the first time we've done that, because this is the first year we've offered that course, I believe.
Yes.
And really remarkable. I mean, really, really, really remarkable. The way that they brought in the visual arts and the performing arts, and then the spoken word. I was sorry I had to leave. No offense to anybody here. Sorry to leave that to come over here,
Right.
because it was really very, very impressive. So thank you to the students and to, I know Ms. Tedoldi and Kelly.
Akasha.
Thank you. Sorry about that, for putting all that together with the students.
I was so sorry to not be able to go.
The art, and it's so relevant right now with some of the stuff that the students picked out that they wanted to represent. And then again, the young man that I saw with his spoken word was really very moving. So
Others?
that was all for me.
That's great.
Thank you, Mr. Canfield. Dr. Barros?
Just that busy week, EMCAST starting, at the elementary level and other areas. I mentioned seniors last day on Friday.
That's right.
We have orchestra, choir, band concert coming up on Thursday at the Ahern.
Yep.
So that's Thursday at 6:30. And then fast forward to the Burrell, the Wednesday, May the 25th, will be a welcome reception for Mr. Robert Worth. That the PTO is
Nice.
sponsoring and putting on, and that will be 6:30 to 7:30 in the cafeteria at the Burrell. Again, Wednesday, May 25th at 6:30.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice. I had a couple of other matters that came forward from Ms. Ladani, who's here, or not here this evening, but it's involving the Foxborough Rec Department. A couple of really substantive and just, I believe, pretty heartfelt ones. One it's a good reminder for everybody listening in our community that the rec department doesn't just work with the youth in town. They actually have started a social club for adults with special needs, and it's meeting with fantastic success. They've had their first 2 of a planned 3 meetings, but I think they have every intent of continuing on with that. And so far, sessions have been run by Mr. Rich Bancroft, a resident in town who has kids in our school system, who ended up doing almost like a master study of painting with Impressionism that met with incredible success. And then also Renee Tochi, who had a yard game session that was amazing. And then I think another one coming up is going to be a resident cook and doing some cooking. And the feedback has been remarkable. In fact, Mr. Garrity, I believe you had something to say about that?
Yes, I'm part of that group too.
You are? Okay.
And last week we did the paint session, and yesterday we were going to do the cook thing, but we flip-flopped the week since the weather was nice yesterday.
Yeah. And how's the group been?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Nice. Nice. Is there, how many folks do you remember? Like, was it a lot of people there?
Small group, not
Yeah.
too many people.
Sure. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I think the feedback from the community and folks who've been involved, in addition to what Mr. Garrity said, has been remarkable. And then also a special thanks to the NHS staff, National Honor Society kids, who made Touch a Truck really fun for everybody involved. And I think all the adults and folks in town who were there actually made a separate point to say that the high school's National Honor Society representation brought the event from good to great. And so I think that's kudos to them, because our National Honor Society actually does take the service mission of that group to heart, and it's wonderful. Looking ahead, Farmers Market starts June 2nd, and that's all I had from me and other members that gave me information. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Go ahead.
So moved.
Second. Did I just
To
not say that?
adjourn?
Yeah, sure. Second? Okay. All those in favor?
All in favor.
300.
All right.
We're adjourned. Thank you.